Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Week That Was. I'm Saeed Khan. We have, of course, another very busy week in the cycle to talk about, so let's get started right away. We have one of our veteran attorneys, Bill Seikaly. We have labor and community activist Barb, veteran journalist Nancy Derringer, and, of course, co-founder of Deadline Detroit, Allan Lengel. Well, we're almost up to the 2-week mark with the war in Iran. It is still raging. It seems as though there is some let up for the commercial aviation pathways out of Doha and Dubai, but it still seems very limited. And yet the bombardment of not only Iran, but also Lebanon continues by Israeli forces and to some degree American forces as well. Some of the updates include the naming or the election of a new supreme leader in Iran, Mujtaba Khamenei, who is the son of the assassinated former supreme leader Ali Khamenei, has come into place. But one of the really weird dynamics about all of this is that apparently he was quite seriously injured during the onslaught on his father's compound. And there was a statement read yesterday on Iranian TV, but we haven't seen him. There are images of other leaders, including Prime Minister Netanyahu, that are making their ways on TV, but we have not found a live statement given by him. And in fact, the image or the video that was shown, some very astute and eagle-eyed person noticed that on his right hand, he had 6 fingers. So unless he's from Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, I'm not sure how we can really explain that one. So there's a lot of misinformation that's going on. Nancy.
So we're 2 weeks into this war. We have traded one Ayatollah Khamenei for another Ayatollah Khamenei. Nobody bothered to look at a map and figure out the Strait of Hormuz is a choke point for oil tankers. Great job, guys. Heck of a job, Brownie. I think we need to bring that one back. Heck of a job, Brownie.
There's so much winning, Allan.
I mean, it's interesting that, Trump says, I want, you guys to surrender. When Russia had the same idea when they invaded Ukraine, they thought, it'd be a week at the most, not understanding. I think that's one thing this country is not, and maybe they need more help from Saeed Khan to understanding the Middle East and understanding the mentality there. They don't get it. They think from a very Western John Wayne kind of, cowboyish approach. And
do you want hysterical me, Bill, or the other one? Well, here's the thing.
I'm all for hysterical, Saeed. I like him.
Trump actually said that he reserved the right to pick the next supreme leader, which I guess would have been, you got it, Ayatollah apprentice.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bill.
Yeah, Allan, I agree with most of what you said, but I don't think it's limited to the Middle East. Look, we haven't learned the lessons from Vietnam.
No,
we thought we'd go in and take care of Vietnam and, win their hearts and minds. And we saw how well that worked out.
Mm-hmm.
People don't like being oppressed. People don't like feelings of desperation and hopelessness, and they will use whatever means necessary to deal with that. And it's an unfortunate reality. We just, this country, and I know we have a couple things on our agenda that are going to talk about it, but this country seems to have ignored the psychology of what motivates people. We can't be surprised about what happened yesterday when we allow thousands of children to be killed in Lebanon. Yeah. We can't when we allow hundreds of thousands of children to be killed in Gaza. people are going to get desperate and do desperate things, not good things, not things that ought to happen, but they're going to do desperate things.
Not to mention, Bill, the 180 people who were killed at an elementary girls' school, including 165 children, with the president actually saying that Iran did it to themselves,
right,
and then saying, well, when they was shown evidence that it was a Tomahawk missile, well, anybody can go out and buy a Tomahawk missile.
I looked at Costco this morning and could not find one.
Well, Bill, I did notice one
Sam's Club.
One source where you could have got it was in the old Oprah show on those days when she said, and you get a Tomahawk missile, and you get a Tomahawk missile, and you get, we were just simply not there on her. These are my favorite things episode. So,
Plus,
and we're the poorer for it.
We've spent the last 30 years radicalizing young Muslim men who feel, and women who really feel that we really are the great Satan, that they were right, and we continue to prove them maybe not right, but we haven't done very much to change their minds at all, And I like to think about the Marshall Plan. What they did after World War I was create Hitler's Germany. What we did after World War II was rebuild and help people, and it worked. It worked very well. And we just fell back to, we would have no problem in Cuba if we had supported the overthrow of the horrible Batista, but no. But we're going to go in there now.
But don't worry, Barb, because we've got the Kushner plan for Gaza. So everything is going to be fine. But I'm glad that you mentioned Cuba, because part of this is also historical memory manipulation. Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State and the National Security Agency head, and owner of shoes that are too big for him, has a very anti-Cuban attitude. But he fled not Castro, he fled Batista. Huh. So, by the way, did Ted Cruz's father, fleeing Batista, who was a U.S. basically installed or favored dictator. This has nothing to do with communism, and yet they still hate Cuba. So part of it is the framing. Bill.
Yeah, I want to circle back around. All these things we're talking about, I think, are incredibly important about how this country creates real serious problems outside its borders. Mm-hmm. But we're doing the same thing inside our borders. There is a reason that young people, especially young men, have become so desperate, so disenfranchised that they turn to a guy like Trump and identify with him. It is the same phenomenon. And if we don't address it, we're going to implode. If you look at how people feel about one another in this country, it's evidence of the fact that the same thing, the same alienation that we're creating outside of our borders, we are creating inside of our borders.
Bill, let me jump to another story that we were going to cover today, and we
have a war-related.
Let's show the video then.
A quick video here.
Go to the videotape.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Well, you know what? I'm sure that mass evacuations aside, the rest of the war is going great.
Breaking news.
The U.S. Central Command says 3 fighter jets were shot down by friendly fire from Kuwaiti forces. CENTCOM says all 6 crew members aboard the jets ejected were safely recovered and are in stable condition.
Okay, now I know it's not great that our allies shot our planes down, but the good news is that they were probably using the missiles we sold them, so at least we know they work. By the way, can we come up with a new name for friendly fire? Shooting your friend's plane down seems like the least friendly thing you could do. Imagine you find your best friend banging your spouse and he's like, relax, just a little friendly penetration. But you know what? The pilots are okay. We'll just buy some new planes. What do they cost?
We should note that the estimates of costs on these F-15 Strike Eagle jets range from anywhere from $30 million per unit all the way up to $100 million.
Up to $100 million each? You may have lost $300 million in one friendly penetration incident? Look, I live in New York, so I am used to seeing obscene amounts of money wasted on jets, but still, 300...
Well, I don't know if anyone was keeping up with this, but the asymmetric nature of the defense budget. So in this case, it was friendly fire, but the United States and Israel are launching weapons. In the case of Israel, also American-made weapons, ranging from in the several hundreds of thousands to the low millions on painted outlines of airplanes that are fooling our most advanced technology. And the Iranians have also spent a whole lot of money buying, you guessed it, inflatable aircraft and inflatable tanks to be targeting these video jocks. And they're just now starting to squander all of these weapons to the point where there's actually a problem with how low the inventory is for the U.S. When it comes to that. It reminds me of when during World War II they set up those balsa wood planes in England so that the Luftwaffe could go ahead and attack those instead. So there we are.
They set up an army that way for Patton, so that they wouldn't know where D-Day was going to come from.
Also in Blazing Saddles, they did that.
Yeah. They did that in Blazing Saddles. And we're joined by attorney Steve Fishman as well. Well, this is why I've already put the bullseye on my roof for Amazon to drop whatever it wants on it, and I should be okay. But speaking of, as you said, Bill, the kind of tensions and the polarization in this country, a global poll just came out that says that the United States is the only country in the world where most of the people surveyed don't like their own fellow citizens. So there you go.
Yeah, I
you guys,
really come surprised anybody. We are so polarized for, I think, the same reason that we polarized the rest of the world. This is the politics of now, and I think it's I think if we don't change it, it's the beginning of the end. But
well, one of the things that, because we convene on Zoom, I guess we don't have to drive down to a central studio, which is probably not a bad thing because the price of gas has definitely gone up. In the last 2 weeks, I would say, I think probably when we met right before the war began on February 27th, I seem to recall gas was at about $2.89 a gallon here in the Detroit area. And now it is, I think, hovering around $3.69, in some places $3.89, certainly still better than what we see out in California, where I saw the number 8 in front of a lot of the per gallon amounts. And of course, you have in other parts of the world just absolute rationing. In Bangladesh and even in Rwanda. I've got some sources who said that there's actual rationing, which reminds me of 1973 here.
Oh, yeah.
But Trump says we're going to make money off of this.
Well, some people are, definitely. Steve?
I think the best thing that can happen is for the price to keep going up, maybe to like $6 a gallon, to get the attention of people who don't pay any attention to anything. Because why? Their children, their sons and daughters aren't subject to the military draft or any other way that they have to do anything having to do with this idiotic war. And the only thing that's going to wake people up is hitting them in the pocketbook. So I was talking to my buddy in the gym yesterday. We're looking for $6. That's what we're hoping.
My husband said my husband said he would happily pay that much if it rids us of MAGA, of the Trump regime.
That's quite a cover charge.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like the Iranians have figured out they can't convince the governments of Israel and the U.S. to stop, but they can convince the people all around the world if they start bombing everywhere and the price of gasoline goes up, and then we start losing. I think there was just a crash today where 4 soldiers were killed, and so now they're up to 11. And I think at some point people, and particularly the MAGA people who elected him, thinking he's the peacetime president. I mean, this looks like anything but peace.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in the case of, go ahead, Barb.
Yeah. The problem is that the people who it's going to hurt the most are working people. In this area, we live in an area where there is virtually no mass transit to speak of. I mean, there's a few places you can get buses, but you can't get around. You can't get to grocery stores. It's true, and it's also true that the majority of Americans don't want this war, don't like this war, and are like right now It's 11:45. In 15 minutes, there's going to be a big demonstration in front of the DIA in Detroit, and it's going to be people that are furious and they're outraged. And as usual, it is the lower class of people, the working class of people who are paying for this shit. So while I do agree with you, and I have a little tiny car that's all beat up and I'm never selling ever, because I get great gas mileage in it. But everybody that were suckered into these big giant bully trucks, you know, but that's who's going to pay. That's who's going to pay for higher groceries. That's who's going to pay for everything.
Barb, I need to remind you, I think you're being a bit dismissive of the People Mover, which I think was Tolkien's inspiration for the subtitle of The Hobbit, There and Back Again. So
and the queue line.
and
I take the, you know, I live near Woodward, so I take the fast bus down and back, but that isn't going to get me. That isn't going to get me to a lot of places, and people just can't. And so that's.
I think everybody in Metro Detroit should try taking the bus for a week, and you know, as much as you can, and fully you can, but also, you know, if you're going downtown or something, just to see who's riding the bus, and you know, it was like an anthropology dig when I was working for Deadline. I took it a lot because I hated the parking.
Yeah.
It's a great bus route. It drops you off right in front of the Buell building, right?
Well, I would take the 31 up Mac, and which is like really picturesque. Yeah. And it took me to what do you call it? The Rosa Parks Transit Center. And then I would put my bike on the front of the bus like a typical hipster pain in the ass. And then I would take the bike down and ride it to the office. So,
weren't you ever afraid the bus was going to rear end somebody and there goes your bike?
Well, it was something I thought of from time to time, but that's why my strategy for dealing with all of these things is never have a really fancy one. So there you go. If it got stolen, big deal.
Well, Bill, you mentioned, I mean, the contempt that it seems Trump has for the average American, and the only way to get out of this is, unfortunately, if it looks like the body count is going up in this war. Mind you, it seems like all of the troops who have been killed, at least officially reported, were all either by friendly fire or by some accident, like the KC-135 tanker that had the mishap with another American plane. But when Trump shows up for the dignified transfers at Dover Air Force Base to receive the remains, I'm sorry?
The baseball cap. Go ahead.
The baseball cap, wearing his white USA baseball cap, not even removing it as the caskets go by. And then, just to show the cover-up, Fox News, when he started getting all this flack, showed coverage of last year where he was receiving the caskets where he was not wearing the baseball cap. And then they said, oh, it was an error, which I'm sure they'll blame on some intern or Chris Durnell now.
That some of the shows did comparisons, like when the criticism of Fox of like in a similar instance where Biden looked at his watch and they were like, oh my God, he's looking at his watch. He's checking what time it is. They're so critical. It's just so.
Yeah.
Well, it could have been worse. He could have been wearing that tan suit, Allan. So there you go. Yeah. By the way, did you notice that there were no Republican former or current presidents at Jesse Jackson's memorial in Chicago?
I noticed.
That was more of a rhetorical question, but thank you, Nancy. All right. Well, the war certainly has a local dimension. Yesterday, there was a rather horrific incident in the suburbs of Detroit, more specifically West Bloomfield, where at Temple Israel, which I found out is the largest Reform synagogue in the United States. A 41-year-old
probably the world, if it's the U.S. I don't think there's any others that are, but
I don't know. There's that Reform synagogue of Sri Lanka that you always seem to forget about. So, but Ayman Ghazali, a 41-year-old Lebanese American from Dearborn Heights, rammed his truck into the building, and but for a security guard who was not only injured but was able to neutralize him and shoot him dead, saving hundreds of lives, particularly those of preschool children who were in attendance at the synagogue. So, thoughts about that?
I mean, considering the guy had explosives in the car. I mean, it could have really been a massacre. There were a little over 100 children in the building attending they have a preschool and a daycare there, and they were all ushered out and actually taken to the Shenandoah Country Club, which is a Chaldean country club, and they were very gracious and took care of everyone there. But I mean, look, the guy, I mean, the word is, and the mayor of Dearborn Heights put out a statement saying that he had had some of his relatives killed in an Israeli strike in Lebanon, and that apparently fueled his anger and picked on that. But,
Yeah, I mean, and pointing that out, I was looking at the comments on the Detroit News story about that, and it's about what you'd expect. You're why are you even reporting this? It's not important. The guy's a piece of shit, blah, blah, blah. And, they don't understand that an explanation or a possible explanation is not the same thing as an excuse. I mean, it's just
it's an understanding. We always want to know what motivates people. We're trying to understand what motivates, and that, is pretty, without talking to him himself, I mean, it's pretty clear that was the motivation.
Right. And for him to pick on a Reform synagogue full of little children, I mean, probably a large portion of the people in that congregation probably were as horrified by, what's going on in the Middle East now as he is. But, but that's the problem with these actions. I mean, they never hit the people they should hit. If you can even say they should hit anybody.
It's one of the reasons that they do it is because they can't hit the people it should hit.
Right, exactly.
It is one of the reasons that people become this desperate. I mean,
right.
But there's no justification for what he tried.
Of course not. And I am not offering one shred of it.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Nancy. But to not understand what motivates people says, and by the way, our actions had nothing to do with this guy going crazy. And that's equally incorrect.
Right.
The actions of this country have a lot to do with why people act like this.
Mm-hmm.
We just ignore it, and it's not right.
Mm-hmm.
But we, just expand a little bit on that. We see in this country, like the virus that came out, and people started attacking Chinese people. Right. They were angry. We saw after 9/11. We saw Arabic people, and we saw even, Indians and Pakistanis who people drew no distinction, and they were attacking them, attacking their restaurants and stuff like that. So people lash out at, the closest thing they can find to some link to that. But it's you can't, you can say you understand it, but there can't be a justification for just, particularly, here's 100 kids, little kids under 5 years old in the school, in the same way kids all around the world are being killed who have nothing to do with adults who can't get their shit together to get along and work out something. Steve.
I think that it's symptomatic of everything. Again, talking to people today, one friend of mine said his sister she lives in Phoenix, and she's a member of a Catholic church, and they have as much security as we have at Congregation Shar Tzedek or as they had out there at Temple Israel. It doesn't matter if it's a mosque. It doesn't matter if it's a Catholic church. It doesn't matter if it's a Jewish temple or synagogue. The fact that you have to be aware and look out for things like this, it's kind of like what Bill's kind of been saying for quite some time. It's a commentary on the state of society more than it is anything else. And, like Nancy, I'm always interested. I have to tell you, Nancy, in any of these situations, I'm always interested in what was it that motivated it. It could be against the Jews, against blacks, against Catholics, against whatever. And most of the time, the person who does it is dead, either kills themselves or they're killed in a situation like this.
Right.
So I find I want to know who it is. I want to know what motivated them. But basically, at the end of the day, it's hate, and that's what it is.
Yeah.
Hate.
part of it is, I mean, where are the grown-ups? Congressman Randy Fine calling people animals.
Right.
Andy Ogles, congressman
Ogles.
in Tennessee, both Republicans. And then when asked to the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, aren't you going to censure them? Aren't you going to rebuke? He says, well, it's just a different way that they're talking about the core issue that we have to fight against a Sharia law coming into America. I mean, astounding to see this kind of neglect of what normally and normal people would go ahead and rebuke. So
Let me tell you one other thing. A couple of the people in the gym, of course, Gentiles, asked me about it and gave condolences and this and that and the other. And I was explaining this one guy who's, I'm friendly with, but he's definitely a MAGA type. And I was explaining to him how it is to be Black or Jewish in this society, or be Arabic in this society, that people look at you different than they do. And he actually falls for this MAGA stuff and says, well, us white people, we're looked at, people hate us too for being white. And I'm looking at him, where do you pick this crap up? I mean, you're still called Sir, Your Honor, and Mr. President.
So Steve, I got to ask, which one were you playing during this conversation?
One, this is why I love Steve Fishman. Steve, you're wonderful. But two, I think that we also have to look at some other things that went on yesterday. This was a horrific event. But did you see, as Allan pointed out, it was a Chaldean organization, a Chaldean space that brought these kids in and protected them. It's where they're going to have services this weekend.
Right, or at least Friday.
Secondly, when they interviewed people in the community, and this is where Joni's family goes. Most of these rabbis have been in my house. This butts up right against a community. And when they were interviewing people in the community, there are a bunch of Arabs out there who were rendering assistance to these kids. Mm-hmm. We can't forget that while the organizations seem to want to pit us against one another, that we as individuals tend to rise up and do the right thing. And there are plenty of Arabs who wanted to protect these children. I'm sure there are plenty of Jews who want to protect the innocent children in Lebanon and in Iran. We've got to get back to our fundamental humanity. I mean, there's something that we need to change about all of this. We need to be more like Steve Fishman.
I have to totally disagree with Bill. I'm just kidding. I do want to say,
useless piece of shit.
It was nice. It's nice to see. I saw Rashida Tlaib, who was always very, very critical of Israel for whatever reasons, but she came out with a statement on the attack on the temple, and I was heartened to see that she condemned that. And I mean, it's a no-brainer to condemn it, but for some people, I think people are looking to people like Rashida Tlaib, and I think it's a great thing when people other than Jews are condemning it.
I would say it's actually a no-brainer for Rashida as well. That, I mean, there's a distinction to be made between Israeli policies, and particularly as they affect her family in Palestine, and her being a human being. So, by the way, Steve, if you got any extra clothes, I mean, we can be you next year for Purim. So just, let us know.
I'm reminding you that I have to leave in about 3 or 4 minutes because Michigan will be playing Ohio State in the Big Ten tournament.
Which is why before you leave, I want to go to one of our topics. Michigan beat Michigan State in the last Big Ten matchup.
Oh, come on. Then all those nice things about Steve, we have to go to there.
He hasn't opened his mouth yet, man.
Well, I'm a Sparty, and he's from Michigan. We're going to have a problem here, but go ahead.
So, the one thing we can say is none of us. Nancy, you didn't go to Ohio State.
No, Ohio U.
Okay. Oh, there you go. So you're a Miami.
Maxwell.
So what do you think about Michigan? What do you think about their chances coming forward? How do things look? And here we got a comment saying Mike Bouchard did a phenomenal job yesterday, kept the public informed without pointing fingers, making a decision. Stellar job. Thank you, Jennifer.
I agree with what she just said. I happened to see him, the way he handled himself. And it's not just It's not just in this one. I'm very impressed with how Mike handles things all the time. He doesn't read off of a piece of paper. He addresses everybody, answers questions. Your question about Michigan, I said before the season started we were going to win the whole thing. So not so simple. You got to win 9 more games to do that, but they're pretty good.
It's on my bingo card. U of M wins national basketball title. So there.
Man, which one is he?
Yeah, I always tell people that. Do you think you can pick me out of that picture?
I couldn't pick you out of the one in the stands, but.
All right, guys.
Awesome.
All right. Have
Enjoy the game. Take care. We'll have it.
Hail to the victors.
Go Blue.
You have a schmuck for us?
Scorecard.
We'll try.
Anybody who doesn't root for Michigan is his schmuck of the week.
That's right. That would be a bummer.
I grew up a Michigan fan, and then I went to Michigan State. So when the two teams play each other, I root for Michigan State. But other than that, I root for Michigan.
What a mess.
I get help from some Spartans, but
you get a little help from your friends. Yeah. Let's go to commercial right now.
NCAA tournament, Alan.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in a home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
But seriously, while we're on the topic of basketball, I mean, here we are now, almost halfway through March, and March Madness is starting later and later and later. It does capture a moment for us. I mean, it seems that people, even Nancy's got it up on her grid. Do you ever do the squares thing, Nancy?
Oh no, the brackets? No, never.
No, don't do the bracket.
It's just flushing money down the drain. Whatever the buy-in is, I might as well just set it on fire because I know nothing about this stuff. But
none of the rest of you, no. Okay.
Yeah.
So my story with brackets, and I confess ignorance to college basketball, but in 1989 I got into a bracket with no money, and I was in college, and I picked Seton Hall to win it all.
Okay.
And if you know anything about '89, Michigan beat Seton Hall in the finals, and I've never been happier to be wrong. So that was just, and people forget that was pre-Fab Five. That was with Romeo Robinson. That was when Bill Frieder was caught having interviewed with the University of Arizona, and Bo Schembechler was no longer the football head coach. He was the athletic director, and he fired him on the eve of the tournament. Steve Fisher came in and took the team to glory. So
wow.
Cinderella story, my friends. Cinderella story. Yep. Another rainy night at Augusta. So, well, it looks like this whole idea of anger, Bill, has also spread to, and it's not surprising given the onslaught against him, New York City with fairly newly elected and inaugurated Mayor Zoran Mamdani. There were arrests, and there were really two parts to these protests outside his Gracie Mansion, which is the mayoral residence, the equivalent of the Manoogian here. One was led by extreme right wing, shows up everywhere MAGA guy Jake Lang, to be provocative, but there were some explosive devices, which were fortunately caught before they were detonated, while Mayor Mamdani and his wife and others were inside. What was peculiar about it was, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I thought they weren't there. I thought they were gone for the whole demonstration.
They were. Oh, were they not? Oh, okay.
Whatever. It doesn't matter. I mean,
but the fact that they thought that they were there,
yeah,
is bad enough. But what struck me as odd is that the people who were arrested with the bombs, one was from Afghanistan, and the other one also seemingly was Muslim. So, as Abbott and Costello would ask, who's on first?
We've just gone nuts.
We have gone nuts, and I don't know if these guys came out because they heard about this first demonstration and decided to go out and, you know, break some heads the way the hard hats went after the hippies when they marched against the Vietnam War, I really don't know. But the fact that they came with, you know, these weapons on them it's such a shame. I mean, what's that? I think during the No Kings demonstrations last year, I saw somebody posted a video of these two puppets, and they were doing, if he tries to make you violent, he is a Fed. Dun, dun. And it's true. I mean, the people who are egging us on to break ranks, to start throwing rocks, they are the bad guys. They're not the good guys. They are the bad guys. And I feel like these guys just fell for one of the oldest tricks in the book.
So that same melody, Nancy, is used in Britain in sort of football chant ways, where they call Donald Trump, well, let's put it this way, a word that rhymes with hunt.
Yeah. Oh, you know, and can I just take off my hat to you, the Brit? I doff my hat for you guys taking that from a gendered insult, which is what it is in this country, to a non-gendered insult. You hear it all the time on Game of Thrones. Somebody with a British accent is calling somebody else the C word, and it's almost always a man. And it's I just love that. I love
as
that.
the Brit rep, I gratefully accept that. But next time, a curtsy would be in order.
You know, we were talking about how people are so polarized and stuff, but there is a great deal of community being built right now. People, because businesses know what to do, and there are meetings, which is the worst thing in the world. You ever worked in an office, right? You just roll your eyes and go, please, emails, please. But people are getting together, and they're genuinely trying to figure out what to do. And I think that is really helpful in times like this. And I feel so bad for Mondani, who is really trying to build that exact coalition in New York against the zillionaires that have really infested that city. Mm-hmm. I don't know why Jake Lang is allowed anywhere. And I think we should have free reign, if anybody finds that guy anywhere, to just punch the shit out of him. That's how you deal with
building communities.
Well, the people who pelted him with water balloons when it was 10 below zero in Minneapolis earlier this winter, I think, are the real heroes here. They knew exactly how to hit that guy to make him for extreme misery.
Because he was crying, and then his tears froze too, because he was so
It reminds me, Barb, of the old Chilly Willy cartoons where he would cry and they would like have ice cubes falling down his face.
I want to agree with Barb, but I worry about these communities that we're building that are in these bubbles. I think we need to build communities with people we're not used to being with. Right. I think that's what Mohdabi's been doing, and I think that he should be commended for it. But we all need to do it. We all need to get better. I'm equally guilty of this. I need to be able to reach out to Trump supporters. I'm not good at it. I'm not
either, and I don't care anymore. But I'm part of the problem.
I understand.
My target audience.
Here's the difference. I understand. If I can understand an Arab's frustration with what's going on that would cause them to be so crazy as to drive into a building filled with school children, that I need to be able to understand the desperation of what would cause a 20-something white male to become a Trump supporter.
Oh, because I can tell you.
MAGA doesn't make any sense for that person.
Well, but you are assuming that these people are thinking sensibly. I mean, what an awful lot of it comes down to is I don't like these people, and he doesn't like them either. And this gives me permission to hate the same people.
But I don't think that the guy who drove that truck into Temple Israel was thinking reasonably yesterday.
Well, no, of course not. But I mean, if you want to, there's some videos going around. I should try to send them to you. There's some depositions that are being taken from some of these Doge guys who went into the National Endowment for the Humanities and just, you know, set off bomb after bomb in the budget there. You have never seen more callow, blank-faced monsters in your life. I mean, these are guys who look like they're in middle school. I mean, they are so young, you know, with the cowlick hair and all this stuff and these big, wide blue eyes. I mean, they're like off of a recruiting poster for, you know, the
white people.
For white people. Yeah, exactly. And they're like, well, you know, it had it was DEI, and that was contrary to the executive order, and blah, 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 blah. And it's like they're I don't want to say they're brainwashed, because I think they're more evil than that. I think they're just kids who have never suffered anything worse than their parents' divorce and have just decided to take it out on everybody who is not exactly like them. And I hate that for them, but
it's generational racism.
Yeah, exactly. These are guys who probably have heard their parents talk about, you know, people, non-white people in terrible terms. And that's just, you know, I have reached a point, Bill, and I'm sorry to say this because I know it goes against what you were hoping we can do. If I see somebody who is like openly, proudly MAGA, I just assume they're bad people. You know, they back 100 things that I find abhorrent, and I have nothing good to say about them. So,
you know, I was flying on a plane last month, and you just look up and down the rows with those little TVs on the seats, and you see the Fox News people and the CNN people, and you can just see the division on the plane.
What about me, though? I'm usually watching a movie. I don't watch the news on the plane.
Gee, Allan,
I was watching Curb. Your enthusiasm. I was laughing so hard. This young woman sitting next to me goes, "What are you watching? You seem to be laughing a lot."
But Allan, if you're seeing all those screens, man, how far back are they putting you in the plane?
He needs the leg room. He's got to be in that little aisle.
Exactly, man. You need to be.
A friend of mine just flew back from California, and they had to stop in Kansas City, and he's in Kansas City. Is having a measles outbreak right now, thanks in large part to the Maha movement. And he said a woman got on the plane in Kansas City and walked past him. And he said she was a medical textbook illustration for what measles looks like. I mean, she had rash on her face, on her hands. She looked miserable, and she was not wearing a mask, and she was getting on an airplane. And, you know, I can tell you right now, that woman probably thought, this is just a nuisance disease. It's nothing serious. There's no reason for me to protect others from my disease. And I need to get to where I'm going. And so I'm getting on this fucking plane. And, you know, you want to know how pandemics start? That's one way they do. So,
well, there's a case of measles here. Yeah, go ahead, Barb.
Right. What you can do, and this is the difference between, I mean, if you can change a Trumper's mind, you know, then God bless you. But I think the thing to do is to find the people in maybe not in Little Royal Oak, where we all agree in a very genteel manner that this is all terrible and wrong, but we raise money for La Migra in Southwest Detroit, or for the groups in Pontiac who are being hit terribly hard. They don't get the media that everybody else gets. But I mean, there are things that you can do today to help them. They need people to deliver groceries to residents in those areas who are afraid to leave their house. And you can drive their kids to school, and you can pick them up from school, and you can go to the grocery store and you can buy the appropriate groceries. You don't just go through your own thing and buy what you think. You know, you go to Honeybee Market and you buy stuff from there. I mean, and there's a million things to do that are really going to help. And I just hope that when this is all over, that the Trump supporters see what they've done. But you know, that kind of racism, that kind of politics and stuff, that politics of grievance goes back so far. It goes back so far. I think we've been trying to fix that since the 1960s and the civil rights movement, before that even.
Yeah.
Barb, I noticed that like the last couple of weeks of doing media and stuff and getting feedback from people and seeing others on social media, that it's interesting that people who are on that side of the aisle, that there are these fissures. So, for example, when the U.S. bombed the school, the elementary girls' school in Iran, killing 180 people, 165 of them being little girls, that what would otherwise be called a MAGA moms getting on and saying, this is terrible, we didn't vote for this, I was just braiding my little girl's hair before sending her off to school, I can't imagine what an Iranian mom must be going through. So it's just really interesting to see that on that human level, they're finally starting to move away, or some are, from a kind of an ideological entrenchment to looking at something else. And I mean, again, this didn't happen overnight, and it's not going to be resolved overnight where we have some kind of decorum back. I mean, when you have people like Laura Loomer, and even worse, Alabama Senator Tommy Tuberville posting this thing on his social media showing the Twin Towers on 9/11 being blown up, and next to it, Mamdani offering an iftar dinner in the mayoral mansion and saying these are only 25 years apart.
Yeah, I saw that.
And when senators and Congress people like Randy Fine and all, and Andy Ogles, when they go ahead and fall back on their absolute immunity when it comes to freedom of speech, what do you expect other people to then do if this is what leadership is really showing? So you have that.
I like to think Laura Loomer isn't leading anybody other than other people who are as awful as she is, or
but highly
leading them to
influential.
the plastic surgeon's office for another week or injections.
I can't believe she's only in her 30s. The amount of plastic surgery looks like she's in her 60s trying to look like she's in her 30s.
She is a deeply damaged person.
So by the way, I have to call out the mensch of this entire thing is Andy Borowitz, who his humor and his wit and his sarcasm really, really helps. The latest meme I saw was Iran allows ship carrying Epstein files through the Strait of Hormuz. I'm like, that's just brilliant.
Oh,
absolutely brilliant. And in that vein, Alan, I thought that in the last couple of minutes, we've got some time to show some funny videos. So let's start off, because Oscars are going to be on Sunday. And here's one movie that is not nominated.
More than anything, this documentary is dreadfully dull. The whole thing is Melania going to fittings, riding in a car, trying on clothes, and interviewing people to work for her.
I have already hired my chief of staff, and I'm interviewing candidates to fill the remaining positions. I have received a lot of resumes from people who would love to work in my office, and I need to make my decision soon. What would you change from the last time in my East Wing office?
This time, I will try to make it even more be best.
But isn't her East Wing office gone? Because
it's in right now. Are you kidding me?
Now here we have the Mark Wayne little.
Pretends like he's self-made. What a clown. Fraud. Always has been, always will be. Quit the tough guy act in these Senate hearings. You know where to find me. Any place, anytime, cowboy. Sir, this is a time, this is a place. If you want to run your mouth, we can be two consenting adults. We can finish it here.
Okay, that's fine. Perfect.
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
Oh, hold on.
Big
Oh,
guy.
stop it.
Is that your solution every problem?
No, sit down. Sit down. Okay.
I'm sorry. The first thing I love about that is one thing everybody should know is you never fuck with a Teamster. Okay, I mean and that guy doesn't look like what you would call the stereotypical Teamster. I mean, he's kind of got that sort of bald dough ball look, but I believe he could have kicked Mark Wayne Mullen's ass.
Well, I take a lot of money on that bet. Yeah, sure. Good question.
Hey, just sit down. It's enough.
And then that's the other thing. It's like Bernie Sanders, you're a United States Senator.
This is
I'm embarrassed by the fact that you're a United States Senator, but you're a United States Senator.
The last time I liked Sean O'Brien, but I would have loved to see him just completely.
The only living thing I've ever seen intimidate a Teamster was a Canada Goose at my old newspaper office, the printing plant. It was a newer printing plant, and it had these retention ponds for stormwater, and of course the geese were nesting around there. And one year they had to close one of the entrances to the building because anybody who walked by this pond was getting their ass kicked. Canada Goose. And at one point somebody said, I don't think I've ever seen a Teamster run from a fight. This goose was
They are ornery creatures.
They really are.
But have we forgotten that 5 years and 2 months ago, this is the same Mark Wayne Mullen who was cowering behind a seat in the congressional chamber when there was the insurrection happening on the U.S. Capitol. I mean, I'm not sure if, and I hope they have in the last 5 years, been able to remove the puddle of urine that I'm sure had then stained the carpet in the house. So there you go.
And Trump has now picked him to head the Department of Homeland Security. He finds people who can't say no to whatever he tells them.
Well, and the thing is, this guy is leaving a safe Senate seat. I mean, Oklahoma's probably he could have stayed there until he was as old as James Clyburn, but he gave it up to take a job that will, if there is a blue wave midterm, he is just going to be. They're going to put him in a rubber room somewhere because he's not going to be.
It's like Peter Cetera saying, we gave it up all for the glory of love, and for him it might be either the job, Trump, or maybe Corey Lewandowski if he comes with the job. So let's wait to see on that. Alan, let's go to our last segment.
All right, hold on here. Let me get it.
Downtown Detroit, Robert Wells, Schmuck of the Week.
Well, I think that we have quite a few schmucks that we can go to. So, Bill, who do you got?
My schmuck of the week is Perry Johnson. In his efforts
done now
to out Trump and ruin every effort I make to watch commercial television. These commercials are amazing, and he touts. I assume you guys
47.
Yeah, in a QAnon effort. Okay, hey, President 47, and the average American or average Michigander pays $4,747.
How much money is going to save you?
Wrong. This guy's amazing. First of all, the average Michigander pays somewhere between $1,300 and $1,900 in taxes, not $4,747, not anywhere near $4,747. And he says, and I'm going to audit just like President Trump did with Doge. That was no audit. That was slash and burn.
It was a wrecking ball.
And ruin the country stuff. This is the guy we would seriously consider making a governor of this state.
I had a woman run after me in a Meijer parking lot yesterday with her clipboard going, well, you've signed to get Perry Johnson's name. And she just looked like a Perry Johnson. That's a terrible thing to say. She looked like a Perry Johnson fan. And as I backed away, I'm like, no, I don't think so.
I was reading
with this long leather coat. I mean,
I was reading.
Barb, could that have been because you were wearing your Clay Aiken shirt and she mistook it for Perry Johnson?
I was reading a Reddit discussion about Perry Johnson. Somebody said, "Man, that guy must be allergic to his own money. The way he sets it on fire." His children are going to be in. He's one of these guys who married late in life and has like kids who are, he's as old as Trump almost, and he's got teenagers. And it's like those kids are going to be in therapy for the rest of their lives. Why did my father deprive me of my inheritance?
But yeah, if he's burning through that, how are they going to pay for the therapy? That's the other question that I'm worried about there. So, Barb.
Haley Stevens, who, I don't like anyway. I thought that Andy Levin should have retained that seat, but she did a commercial for AIPAC. And it came out this week, and her timing could not have been more disgusting. And she's got that little voice, and she smiles into the camera. And Abdul El Sayed had the best response, and he said, "Haley, I'm running for the United States of America. I'm not running for AIPAC." And look it up; it's disgusting. And may either Mallory McMorrow or El Sayed win that race.
There's a good chance that they will win it. I mean, she's not doing too well, so let's see.
It's close. It's close between Mallory and Haley, and I think Abdul's a little bit behind on there.
I think
she won't come to events. She doesn't do any of the other people you're seeing everywhere. But Haley is just expecting that AIPAC money to pay for her seat. So.
Well, a corollary to the schmuckiness on that was when I think her I'm not sure, but it looks like it might have been in her campaign going after a funder for Mallory McMorrow, who, by the way, also funds a lot of Democrats, and I think at one time, in fact, probably funded Haley Stevens, because the funder had posted on social media how her grandfather actually was in the Waffen SS back in World War II. Wow. I mean, that's several. That seems like several loops in the daisy chain.
Yeah.
But to go ahead and dredge that up seemed to be kind of on the schmuck scale. Nancy.
Oh, it's been such a schmuck-rich environment, I got to tell you. But I think I'm going to go with Pete Hegseth, who most people have probably heard this by now, but if you haven't, his staff banned photographers from his press briefing because he believed that that the last one he held, they were purposely choosing unflattering photographs of him. Now, wouldn't you think a grown man would be past that crap by now? And wouldn't you think that a guy who's trying to run a ridiculous war would have better than look at the photographs of him that were published in newspapers and websites and on cable TV?
And you could equate that. You could equate either of those standards to Pete.
Well, it just goes to show you how.
I thought you were talking about Barbara Streisand with her.
Exactly. I mean, it's like it just goes to show you how unserious and foolish and dumb these people are, and that should terrify everybody. So.
But this is also the Pete Hegseth who blew $93 billion claiming use it or lose it on lobster and all kinds of other things.
Yeah,
out of the Department of Defense ersatz war budget. So you had that going on as well. Allan.
I'm going to tap a little bit in the bill. I'd say Perry Johnson and John James, who are sucking up endlessly to Trump to get his endorsement. And Mike Rogers, who is successfully sucked up to get the endorsement, and particularly Mike Rogers, who's really a critic of Trump privately, who does not like Trump and has had to really just suck it up. And I think it's so shameful. I mean, when you get politicians who are willing to suck up like that, what are you going to get? You're just going to get
suck-ups,
compromised suck-ups, and compromised people. You know. So.
All right. By the way, to one of our viewers, no, Michigan was not the 47th state in it; was the 26th. I think it was New Mexico was the 47th state in it.
All
right.
Thank you much.
Capitalize on this.
Was Oklahoma 48? Bill.
I'm going through the song right now. I'm not sure.
Oh. I know that it's the place where the wind comes sweeping down the plain. So there you go. And the
in the absence of Fish, I hope I can speak on his behalf. I'm going to give him a schmuck, and that's Fox News for doctoring the images regarding Trump at the Dover Air Force Base with the Dignified transfer, showing last year's footage to cover for him wearing that obnoxious baseball cap and defying every rule of protocol that's there. Didn't lower his head, didn't take off his hat, nothing, just sort of stood there with his sort of Nordic ski jump forward lean. That's his signature posture these
Because
days.
he wears lips in his shoes.
Well, his are the only Florsheim's apparently that do fit. I suppose we should go ahead and talk about his generosity in blowing part of the White House budget, because God knows it didn't come out of his pocket, giving his entire cabinet pairs of Florsheim shoes with a retail value of $195 a pair. And you can clearly see how they are ill-fitting for even people like little Marco.
Did he adjust those sizes? What? I mean,
I think he gave them all his size. I think they're all Trump size. Vivek Ramaswamy had a pair on as well.
Yeah. Who, by the way, right now is losing to in the polls in Ohio in his race. So that's
who is he losing to? I should pay more attention to Ohio, my native state.
I can't remember, but even Sherrod Brown is leading in the senatorial polls against his Republican counterpart. So Ohio might go back to
especially one that is in human form. So there.
So that's for Fish. As far as the others go, a group of schmucks. They're all brothers, Israeli-American brothers, Tal Oren and Alon Alexander, who were all convicted on multiple counts of conspiracy to traffic women for sex, sexual assault, etc. They are real estate magnates who apparently were the ones who sold Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump their house in Florida. I'm sure no connections there.
No, absolutely.
And who also have been mentioned in the Epstein files. A couple of others, though, that I think are of note, and these are in no particular priority of egregiousness. Daniel Goes, aka Nonstop Dan, an aviation influencer who was stuck in Singapore due to the Iran war, but only because he refused to fly economy class. So that's about it. That's a putz. But in recognition of the Sunday being the Academy Awards ceremony and the Oscars, my schmuck of the week is nominated for Best Actor for Marty Singer, isn't it? Or what's the name?
Supreme.
Marty Supreme. Thank you.
Yeah.
Timothée Chalamet, for being on a bro podcast or conversation with Matthew McConaughey, claiming that no one cares about ballet and opera as art forms today, to the point where even the principal of his high school, the LaGuardia High School for the Performing Arts in New York, had to issue a statement. Andrea Bocelli actually invited him to the opera, as have others, to talk about this, and apparently have ballet dancers for making the statement. And for those of you out there who are trying to talk to me and say, oh, isn't this like when John Lennon said we're more popular than the Beatles? It so as hell is not.
We're bigger than Jesus.
Yes, we're more popular than Jesus now. So there you go. Which actually, what he was talking about was a social commentary about America and especially the American youth, and he was not wrong. So
no, he wasn't.
By the way, here's a little bit of an anecdote. When he had his so-called lost weekend, which lasted about 18 months, and he was out in California, he was hanging out with Harry Nielsen for quite a while. They go to the Troubadour, and apparently John is very drunk. There's a tussle. Somebody gets hit. They get thrown out. John writes an apology to the person saying, dear Pam, I'm very sorry. That Pam was none other than Pam Grier.
Get out! Really? I did not know that.
She could have ripped him in half.
God, yes, I wouldn't fuck with Pam Grier.
But Barb, you know the number one rule is.
I missed that.
Hold on, let me just change out here.
Sorry.
It always happens at the end of the show.
Okay. The thing is, you never mess with a Beatle. So that's all right.
All right,
listen,
guys.
Everybody, thank you for being on. Thank you for our audience. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Barb. Thank you, Nancy, and thank you. And with the last word always, Allan Lengel.
Drive home safely.